Hello and welcome to video 16 in the Different Angle 3D video tutorial series for Blender. This is the second video in the design and model a manual plasma table project, and in the first video we looked at creating a reference cube that we can bring our steel sections into and easily size them within the cube to form the fabrication of the table. In this video we're looking at the top frame of the table, so we'll bring in the steel sections and then show how they can be modified to fit within the reference frame and then positioned to form the top frame of the plasma table. Open Blender, where we finished off with video 15, and you should be presented with a wireframe cube, rectangular cube, sitting in the 3D viewport. And as we built that, it was built to the dimensions that we want for the steel fabrication that makes up the plasma cutter table. So rather than modelling the steel sections, we've done that already in videos 13 and 14, which is the videos where we precision modelled different steel sections that we can now use in this tutorial. I've brought my steel sections that I've done for myself together into an asset library, so I'm just dragging up the timeline and opening up Blender 3's asset browser and use the user library, which is available to every Blender file on my system, and I touched on that in video 14 about how to set up Blender 3's asset browser. And I'm looking for a rectangular section, and my library has got 135 sections in it. I wouldn't have expected you to have modelled all of that, but you can go back to videos 13 and 14 and follow the principles to model the section that you need for this. Or my library is available on Gumroad, and as I say, it's got 135 sections. It took a fair bit of work to compile together, so I'm not putting it up there for free this time, but just for a nominal charge that's no more than a couple of cups of coffee in a high street coffee shop. So I'm looking for a rectangular section, so in the search box we'll just type in rect, shortcut for rectangular, and I'm looking for the 75 by 50 rectangular section, and we've got a 3 by 75 by 50 rectangular section. So I'm just going to drag that from the asset browser into the 3D view and drop it on the XY plane that makes up the grid of Blender. So we've got the item we need now. We don't need the asset browser anymore. So I'm going to just go back to the timeline and drag the timeline down to the bottom of the screen. The section that we've put in is 75 by 50 and it's rotated in the wrong direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is rotate it on the y-axis, so it's R for rotate and then Y for the y-axis and 90 for 90 degrees, and enter. So it puts it aligned to what will be the long side of the plasma table. I'm going to go into numpad 1 to go into front view, and then what we need to do now is set up Blender's magnet snap so we can snap this rather than just arbitrarily trying to judge on the grid where it is. If you click on Blender's magnet snap, and then in the settings of the magnet snap we're going to snap to an edge, and we're going to snap with the closest part of the steel profile. So we can now grab the steel profile, which should still be selected, so G for grab, and move it on the Z axis until you're near the top of the reference cube, and it snapped it to the top of where we need it. And we can now go into top view, which is numpad 7, and again grab the steel section, G for grab, and just bring it across and inside the reference cube, and then we can let it go inside the reference cube, and then we can grab it and move it so the edge closest to the reference cube sits just inside. So we've now got it positioned on that one side, and we can grab it again and move it on the x-axis. So it's G for grab, X for x-axis, then move it across to the left hand side. So we've got the first steel section placed in the right place, but it came in at only 300 long, which is how we've set the sections up in videos 13 and 14. So I'm just going to tab into edit mode and go into wireframe view, and we've got everything selected at the moment, so we want to press Alt-A to deselect all the vertices, and then B to box select just the vertices on the side that isn't aligned with the cube, and then we can grab these vertices on the x-axis and drag them across to the other side of the cube, and we've got our first piece of steel in place. So I'm going to tab back into object mode and Z for material preview. So it's as quick as easy. That is now 1 meter long because the reference frame is 1 meter long and positioned in the correct position for us to build the table. So the next thing I'm going to do is press Shift D to duplicate that steel section. So Shift D to duplicate, grab it on the y-axis and bring it across and snap it to the other side of the frame. So we've got our 2 meter lengths in place, as easy as that. The next thing is to fill in the 2 shorter sides, and that was half of a length I spoke about in the previous video. So what I'm going to do is just go Shift D to duplicate it again. Just grab it on the y-axis for the moment, so we're not moving it off its Z location, and then we can rotate that on the Z-axis -90, and then in top view numpad 7 drag it past the back steel section that we've got in place. So grab and drag it back, so again the end of the section is inside the cube but still on the correct top alignment, and then we can grab it and magnet snap onto the inside edge of the back section. So we go grab Y and just snap onto that back section, and what I'm going to do now is tab into edit mode again, and because we've copied one where we've only got the one side of vertices selected, they're automatically selected for this movement. So we can grab those on the y-axis and drag it to just inside the second steel section, and then grab again on the y-axis and bring it up and snap to the inner edge of that section. So that steel section is now at 500mm long, so we can tab back into object mode and then grab the section on the x-axis and bring it across to the side edge of the reference cube, and then again we can duplicate it with Shift D to duplicate on the x-axis and snap it onto the other side, and it's as quick as that to start building steel frames. Because of the material constraints I said in the first part of this project, I'm working with 500mm side pieces. If you wanted to miter the corners, you could make the frame slightly shorter on the x-axis to have the extra steel to be able to cut the miters on the corners, or just buy a little bit more steel. And I'll cover miters in the next video when we look at the angle iron frame that makes up the uprights and base of the table. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep me motivated and make more of these, and I'll see you soon in the next video.